Now today we will see one of the important gram-positive bacillus. That is, the bacillus means rod-shaped bacteria. So this is the another gram-positive bacteria besides the Clostridium family. This bacillus is also similar to the Clostridium gram-positive bacillus. It's a sporing rod-shaped bacteria, and this bacteria is this gram-positive bacilli are divided into two groups. One is aerobic and one is anaerobic. As you know earlier that aerobic bacteria which required oxygen and they can survive in presence of oxygen. But anaerobic bacteria, they are not able to survive in presence of oxygen. So this spore-bearing bacteria, rod-shaped bacteria, they are divided according to their O2 growth. So in presence of oxygen, which bacillus which grows in oxygen environment, it is known as a bacillus, and in absence of oxygen, the bacilli, rod-shaped bacilli which grows, this is Clostridia. So today we will see the aerobic spore-bearing rod-shaped bacteria, that is bacillus. So important species in this bacillus family is Bacillus anthracis, Bacillus cereus and Bacillus stereothermophilus. We will discuss one by one. So these all are the keywords which are used during these lectures. Like bacillus, in this bacillus lecture we will use different terminology according to their morphology, in the staining preparation, according to their morphology in the culture. So they are, and according to the disease produced by them, they are divided in different terminology which is used, like Bacillus anthracis, which producing a disease like anthrax, like Hyde-Potter disease. This is Hyde-Potter disease. This is the occupational disease. Wool-Sorter disease. Then malignant pustule, because the pathological lesions which is produced by this bacillus, which is known as a malignant pustule. Then pustule which becomes a eschar. Then McFadden reaction, which we will see in the laboratory diagnosis part. Then bamboo stick appearance, which is seen in the gram stain or Giemsa stain preparation, morphological appearance. Then medusa head colony, which is seen in your blood agar or special culture media plates. Then string of pearls reaction. So these all are the different terminology which we will use during this lecture. So what is the history of this Bacillus anthracis? This bacteria is very important because the variety of significance which is present in this bacillus. Why? Because this bacillus, which is the first pathogenic bacterium to be seen under the microscope. So this is seen by the scientist Polander. Then first communicable disease shown to be transmitted by inoculation of infected blood. So which is discovered by the Devin. Then first bacillus to be isolated in a pure culture which shows spores, which is demonstrated by the Koch. The first bacteria which is used for the preparation of the attenuated vaccines, that is discovered by the Pasteurs. So now we will see the different disease which is produced by this bacillus, right? In your laboratory diagnosis, we will see the morphological part. So which type of disease which is produced by this bacillus? One is anthrax. As you know, the anthrax is a zoonotic disease which is primarily involved the cattle and sheep. So here the humans are not the primary source of infection. Here the animals and cattle, including cattle, they are the basically source of infection. The animals are infected by the ingestion of the spores which is present in the soil. So, and they become infected, and then from animals it is transmitted to human. So that's why it is known as a zoonotic disease. The large number of bacilli which are shared in discharges from the mouth, nose and rectum from the animals Now this bacilli which are discharged in this, all the type of secretions, they are deposited in the soil, then they sporulate in the soil because some exacting condition they give rise to spore. And how the human anthrax which is produced, whenever any human or person which are contact with this type of infected animals, like they infected directly or indirectly. So the virulence factors which plays a role to producing a disease in the humans, so they are divided. There are different types of virulence factor, two types basically. The one is the capsular polysaccharide. So this is the structure capsule which is present on the bacilli. So this is the surrounding sticky mucus-like secretion of the bacillus itself, and they are well formulated and they producing a capsule. So this capsule inhibit the phagocytosis. So whenever this type of bacteria which entered in our body, so what will happen? Our immune systems, our soldiers which are activated, and they trying to engulf this. Like basically phagocytes, they're trying to engulf this type of bacteria, but they are not able to engulf because of this capsule. So this capsule synthesis which is encoded by the plasmid. So this plasmid which transfer this virulence factor from one bacterial species to the another bacteria. The second virulence factor is anthrax toxins, which is made up of three fractions: edema factor, protective antigen factor, and lethal factor. The edema factor, the name itself suggests it producing the edema in the tissue. Then protective antigen factors, they are not toxic individually. They have to produce their action in the presence of all three. So they are not able to work individually. The whole complex, they are allowed to produce some local edema and generalized shock. So the toxin production in this case, which is also plasmid mediated. So both the virulence factor in the case of bacillus, which is mediated by the plasmid. The anthrax toxins, the which containing these three factors, as we see seen in earlier slide. The edema factor, which is an active fragment, and they basically act by the activation of the adenyl cyclase enzymes. So what will happen? They increases the adenosine triphosphate ATP within the cells. So they increase. How they increase? They increase the cyclic AMP within the cells. Okay, and then the protective factor, which having a binding fragment. So whenever any bacilli come in contact with the human tissue or human cells, host cells, they have to first bind their cells. So here the protective factor play a role. The binds to the specific host cell receptors and facilitate the entry of the other fragments into the host cells. So protective factor, which is for the binding. Then edema factor, which increases the cyclic AMP within the cells. So cells become enlarged and it produces the edema. And the lethal factor, which causing the cell death. So the affected cell become a necrosed and after they die. So they act by cleaving the host cell mitogen activated protein kinases. So how these three factors which are present in the toxin, they act simultaneously. So here the picture is given. You can see here there is a three factors: edema factor, protective antigen factors, and the lethal factor. Here there is a cells, and this protective antigen factor which bind to the specific receptors on the host cells. Then they allow this edema and lethal factors to bind another sites, and they goes inside the cells and producing the endosomes, and they start their effect within the cells. The human anthrax, the disease which is caused by this Bacillus anthracis, which is known as a human anthrax. And this human anthrax, which is also divided into three types of disease according to the lesions which is produced. So one is cutaneous anthrax, second is pulmonary anthrax, and the third one is intestinal anthrax. And all three types which will lead to the fatal septicemia. So first we will see the cutaneous anthrax. This cutaneous anthrax, 95% of the human cases, this is most common form of presentation. So the route of entry itself name like a cutaneous, so route of entry is skin. The site basically involved are the exposed part of our body like face, then arms, then back, then neck and hands. The papules first which is formed by this cutaneous, in case of this cutaneous anthrax, then these papules become vesicles, and this vesicle which containing the colorless serum like fluid or sometimes the blood stained fluid, and when there is a blood stained fluid which is present within the vesicles, they are known as a malignant pustules. So these malignant pustules are the satellite lesions filled with the serum and yellow fluid arranged around the central necrotic lesions which is covered by the black eschar. So the central lesions is covered by the blackening of the area. So it is also known as a Hyde-Potter disease, dock worker, butchers, abattoirs or farmers. According to the occupational exposure to this anthrax, they are named like a different Hyde-Potter, then dock workers. It is seen basically in a occupational those person who are working in the butcher's house, then abattoirs and dog house. So they are basically acquiring directly from the animals. Okay, and this resolves spontaneously. 10 to 20% of the untreated may develop a fatal septicemia. So here there is a picture which is showing the black coloring in the central regions, and it is surrounded by the edematous border. So it is a serum or yellow fluid containing vesicles. Okay. The second form of the disease is pulmonary anthrax. It is because it is transmitted by the aerosol, that's why it goes to the pulmonary region. So it is known as a wool sorter disease because in the wool factories, the workers are exposed to some types of wool which containing this spore-bearing bacteria. So this wool which is this wool is acquired from the sheep, in the sheep already suffering from some anthracis type of the disease, and this anthrax, the spores of the anthrax which is present on the wool. So whenever this wool goes to the factories and the person are exposing to this infected wool, they acquired from the aerosol route. So this is a life-threatening because a hemorrhagic pneumonia is produced by this bacilli, and this bacilli spreads to the lymphatics and then blood, and which leads to the fatal septicemia, a hemorrhagic mediastinitis, hemorrhagic meningitis. And it is a most common cause of the bioterrorism. It is also used like a biological weapon. The third one is gastrointestinal anthrax, which is very rare form of the disease. It is due to the ingestion of inadequately cooked meat. This meat containing the spore-bearing bacilli. The human anthrax can be industrial or non-industrial. This is another classification according to exposure to the bacteria. So in industrial, in case of in a meat packing or in a wool factories, and non-industrial, frequent association with the animals, butchers, veterinarian, animal exposures like in a butchers, veterinarian and farmers. So laboratory diagnosis. So which type of sample we will collect? So according to the lesions which is produced, like in a cutaneous anthracis, we take a samples from the border of the lesions, like from the edematous margin of the lesions, not from the central necrotic area, because already its central area is a necrotic area and it's a dead area. So you will not get any bacteria from the central lesions. You have to collect the samples from the periphery part of the lesions. Then any fluids or pus, if the bacteria, in case of pulmonary anthrax, if there is a fetal septicemia and whenever it enters into the blood, we have to collect the samples like a blood. If there is a pulmonary anthrax, we can also collect the samples like sputum. Then if there is a fetal complications like a meningitis, then we have to collect the samples like a CSF. And in case of gastrointestinal, we can collect the samples like a gastric aspirate, feces or food. This food is basically for the in case of the Bacillus cereus poisoning. We will see it in the next slide. Then after collection of sample, what we have to do? We have to first prepare a Gram stain or Giemsa stain. So first we have to do microscopy. Then after this microscopy, direct microscopy, we have to inoculate the samples in the special media. Okay, and then we also have to collect some blood for the serological aspect, as in case of the pulmonary anthrax or in a fetal septicemia. If we collect the blood, we can go for the serological test. And animal inoculation. Animal inoculation which is not used nowadays for the diagnostic purpose. So in a microscopy, you will find the large aerobic non-motile gram-positive bacilli as shown in the pictures. See, this is the central spore and central area which is the spore area. Okay, it is not like a Clostridia, like a subterminal or terminal spore. Here there is a spore area is basically in a central region, and the important thing is that here the bacilli is not swollen. The bacillary size which will remain the same. In contrast to Clostridia, the spore area, in case of the Clostridia, they become a swollen. Okay, so here the bacillus which will remain in the same size. They arrange in a singly, pair or in a short chain, and the entire chain which is surrounded by a capsule. So this capsule you can very well see in a special staining techniques. Okay, I will show you in a picture. Then there is a capsule which is produced in a presence of bicarbonate or 10 to 25% of the CO2. So if we grow this bacilli in the special condition like in the presence of CO2, you can very well see this capsule directly from the culture smear. Then spores are oval and centrally located, non-bulging. Then one method which is used specifically for the spores, it is known as the Ashby's method. The hot malachite green or acid-fast staining, 0.25% of sulfuric acid, which is used for staining of these spores. Then the lipid granule which are stained by this special staining methods like a Cowdry type B. Then staining of this blood film directly from the blood by the polychrome methylene blue. So here you can see the amorphous material which is surrounding the bacillus. See here in the picture, the pinkish color border is seen, which is suggestive of the capsule. So it represents the capsular material and presumptive diagnosis of the anthrax in an animal. So this is the polychrome methylene blue stain. Then you can also go for the direct immunofluorescent method. Here the fluorophore, any fluorescent dye which is encoded by the immunoglobulin, and that's why it is known as an immunofluorescent, and directly this monoclonal antibody which will combine with this capsular antigen and cell wall polypeptides, which is used for the confirmation of the diagnosis during the bioterrorism outbreak. Culture characteristics they grow on a blood or nutrient agar at 37 degrees Celsius. They produce irregular, round, raised, dull, opaque type of colonies, and this is known as a frosted glass appearance. It's sometime you can see there is some frost present on the glass window. So it is just like that type of colony which is appears on this nutrient agar. In the low power of microscope, if we see this colony directly on the microscope, on the edges of this microscope, you can see the interlacing chain of the bacilli, and they are resembling the locks of matted hair. So that's why it is known as a medusa head appearance. So another terminology which is used for this cultural characteristics of the organism. Then gelatin step culture, inverted field tree appearance with slow liquefaction starting from the top. So here this picture which is shows in a frosted glass appearance of the colony on the blood agar. Then here there is a medusa head type of colony on the blood agar. If we see in the edges of the colony, see this is the different projections, wavy projections in the colony. And this is the inverted field tree appearance. You can see inverted palm tree like structure which is present if we inoculated in the gelatin step culture. This is the edges of the colony. These are the locked matted hair type of colonies. It is seen on the edges of the colony. So this type of colony characteristics is known as a medusa head appearance. This is a string of pearl appearance which is seen in this solid media which is containing 0.05 to 0.5 units of penicillin. In 3 to 6 hours, the cells become a large spherical and occurs in a chain on the agar surface. So it's just like the pearls which are spread on the plates. Okay. That it is differentiate. So this characteristic differentiate the Bacillus anthracis from the Bacillus cereus, because Bacillus cereus it is not producing this type of colony. The one of the selective media which is used for this Bacillus anthracis is plate medium. The P stands for polymyxin, L stands for lysozymes, E stands for EDTA, and T for thallus acetate. So to isolate it from the mixture which containing other spore-bearing bacilli. So whenever the sample which is mixed with the other organism, or it may be contamination of the samples, clinical samples, so we have to directly inoculate in this type of plate media, so which is a selective media for the Bacillus anthracis. Now after getting your colony, what we have to do? We have to take a single colony and prepare a smear from that colony and go for the gram stains or different types of stains. Okay, so you will found the bamboo stick appearance of the bacilli. This is the Giemsa stain. You can see here there is a bamboo appearance, chain of the bamboo. The central region is containing the spore, so it's look like a bamboo stick appearance. Animal inoculation, which is not used nowadays, it is previously it is like by rubbing of this contaminated tissue over the shaven skin of the guinea pig. So guinea pig which producing the same type of disease like in a human. So so pathogenicity, if you want to see the typical pathogenicity of the disease, so we have to do like this. Then serology, the Ascolis thermoprecipitation test, which demonstrate the anthrax antigen in the tissue extract. Then another test, enzyme immunoassay. Here in this immunoassay, we have to add the antibody from the patient's serum and the antigen which are coated on this this enzyme immunoassay plate. So the anthrax antigen which is coated on this ELISA plate. Then PCR, polymerase chain reaction, which detect directly the anthrax antigen from in the tissue of the patient. The resistant, the bacilli which is destroyed at 60 degrees Celsius within 30 minutes. Animal carcasses, when there is animals are expired, the dead body, the bacilli in that dead body, the bacilli which will remain for a viable in a bone marrow for a week or in a skin for 2 weeks. So proper disposal of these animal carcasses is a must. So spores are highly resistant and survive in a soil or in an atmosphere up to 60 years. So it's suggestive of it's a highly resistant bacteria and basically spores. Spores can be destroyed by the 4% of the potassium permanganate solution in 15 minutes or by duckering. Duckering is the method of destroying this infected tissue. What we have to do by using this formaldehyde solution for the animal products and which are imported into the non-endemic countries. So duckering of this wool, it's for that wool, infected wool which containing this spore-bearing bacilli, 2% solution of formaldehyde at 30 to 40 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes. So we have to expose this wool on the presence of formaldehyde fumes. The animal hair and bristles we have to deposited in this 0.25% at 60 degrees Celsius for 6 hours. Prophylaxis, what precautions we have to do? So it is basically a occupational acquired disease. So we have to take a proper care of their high risk group person, like a general methods of prevention which includes the improvement of the factory hygiene, using of the protective gloves, then proper sterilization and decontamination of the animal products like a wool, then animal carcasses to be buried deeply in the quicklime or cremated. The person who are working in that area, like in an animal slaughterhouse or in a wool factories, so they have to take proper precautions like active immunization of domestic animals as well as the person who are working in that environment. So live attenuated spore vaccine can be given into the domestic animals, and person who are exposed to this type of risk, they have to take a cell-free vaccine which containing this purified protective antigens. So anthrax infection in the human give lifelong permanent immunity. Once it is happened in the person, they will acquire the general immunity for the lifelong. And the secondary infection in that person is very rare. So the vaccines which are prepared they are two forms. Original anthrax vaccine which is developed by the Pasteur. It is a first vaccine and it is a live attenuated bacilli vaccine. Here what the Pasteur's had done, the strain rendered the avirulent by loss of the plasmid which encodes the anthrax toxin. So live attenuated anthrax spore vaccine, these are two types of vaccines, Stern vaccine and Mazuchi's vaccine. The Stern vaccine which containing the non-capsulated spores and avirulent mutant strain is used. So loss of the plasmid which control the capsule production. So there is the absence of that plasmid part in this type of vaccine. So there is no capsule production. And another is Mazuchi vaccine which containing the spores of stable attenuated Carbazoo strain. As I said earlier, this is the bacilli which is used as a biological weapon. So it is previously there are so many, there are some epidemics which have been happened, and these epidemics there may be uses of this Bacillus anthracis weapon. So there is a large epidemic which is very rare, but in 1979 it is former Soviet Union due to accidental release of the spore from the military facility engaged in a biological research. This is the one incident previously, and in 1980 in the Zimbabwe affected 10,000 persons. In the United States 2001 it is also used as a biological weapon in the US. So hence the need to develop a better human vaccines. In a treatment part, doxycycline or ciprofloxacin which is used as the for this bacillus, and with clindamycin or rifampicin for 60 days. Post-exposure prophylaxis, the ciprofloxacin for 60 days or doxycycline for 60 days can be given. Raxibacum, this is the monoclonal antibodies which is neutralize the anthrax toxin for the inhalation anthrax. The anthracoid bacilli, which is the same like a anthrax bacilli, but here they are not producing the pathogenic lesions like a anthrax bacilli. They belongs to genus Bacillus, but they produce occasionally human infection. So in this case, the Bacillus cereus, Bacillus subtilis, licheniformis and other species which include in this anthracoid bacilli, they are the variety of the non-pathogenic aerobic spore-bearing bacilli, which is you can see in the as a laboratory contaminant, and they are same resemble to the anthrax bacilli. So the lesions produced by this is like a pseudo-anthrax. So here the differentiating point which is given from the for anthrax and anthracoid bacilli. So it is very easy to recognize this pathogenic and non-pathogenic strain. Like anthrax is the non-motile strain and anthracoid is the generally motile. Anthrax is a capsulated, as we have seen earlier, polychrome methylene blue stain which is used for the capsular staining, and the anthracoid is a non-capsulated stain. And this capsule is the virulence factor for the anthrax bacilli. They grow in a long chain, as I said earlier, and I have shown you a picture of this long chain, bamboo stick appearance of the bacilli. They grow in a short chain in case of the anthracoid bacilli. The medusa head type of colony it is present. Then no growth on a penicillin agar. Anthracoid bacilli they can easily grow on a penicillin agar. Weak or no hemolysis is seen in anthrax. It is hemolysis, it is a well demarcated in case of anthracoid bacilli. The inverted feed tree appearance which is shown, and here there is a rapid liquefaction of the gelatin media. No growth at 45 degrees Celsius for anthrax, and in case of anthracoid they usually grows at 45. So the important species of this anthracoid bacilli is one is Bacillus cereus. Why it is important? Because it producing the food poisoning, and this Bacillus cereus having a same pathogenicity like a Staphylococcus aureus. Okay, so it is a foodborne gastroenteritis, and they produce a two type of pattern like emetic type and diarrheal type. Emetic type means they producing a vomiting, and in diarrhea, diarrheic type of the disease they produce the diarrhea, but in both the cases they are the self-limiting disease. So in the diarrheal form it is produced by some Chinese products there are also difference between the incubation period of both the types. Like in a diarrheal type, incubation period is more than 6 hours, but in case of emetic type the incubation period is less than 6 hours, like a Staphylococcus aureus food poisoning. Okay, and so they are divided into type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is a diarrheal type, type 2 is a emetic type, and this is the type 1 which is produced by the wide range of the foods, basically cooked meat and vegetables, and in type 2 they are produced by the Chinese fried rice. In a type 1, the diarrhea, abdominal pain which is developed 8 to 16 hours after the consumption. And in case of emetic type, they produce within 1 to 5 hours. So there is a preformed toxin which is present in the food. Okay. The few bacilli seen in the fecal specimen. Here there is a large number of bacilli in a cooked rice and fecal samples. The enterotoxin which is resembled to the labile toxin of the E. coli in case of type 1. And in case of type 2, the toxin which is resembled to the Staphylococci enterotoxin. So how we go for the diagnosis? As according to sign and symptoms, we have to collect the samples like a specimen, stool, vomitus, remaining part of the food and the blood. The microscopy is not so much important. We can also go for the culture and the test for the toxin to differentiate between the Staphylococci food poisoning or the type 2 types of the Bacillus cereus food poisoning. So in the blood agar, they produce in the colony but it is not a pearl stream, the pearl-like colony. Okay. So the special media which is used for the Bacillus cereus is MYPA agar. M, which is stand for the mannitol, Y is for the egg yolk, P is for phenol red, and A is for the polymyxin agar. So it is to isolate the Bacillus cereus from the mixed specimen like a feces, because fecal material which is also containing the commensals bacteria. So in the treatment, it's a self-limiting disease. So in the treatment part, we have to proper maintain the hydration of the patient. So rehydration therapy is the most important. The antibiotic which is used only in case of if there is any systemic complication is there. Otherwise, it is a self-limiting disease. Thank you.